Welcome back. Welcome back. You are listening to Lurie Daniel Favors on SiriusXM's Urban View, where talk empowers and becomes action. First things first, I got to do a little bit of housekeeping before we get into the news today. That song that you all heard and the other song that you all have heard on Urban View, that is a part of the Thankful by Nature collection. Some of you have tried to find the song on Instagram, on YouTube. You've tried to do Shazam. And I know this because y'all have reached out not only to me, but to my partner, Rick Martin. Shout out to him. Asking for the song. One of y'all was like very intent on asking about the song. The songs are not available anywhere but on this show because they are a part of the Lurie Daniel Favors LDF Collections Thankful by Nature line. And so we are actually, I've been in conversation with Rick because some of y'all have been very passionate about the music that we released on the show. And again, YouTube, y'all haven't even heard the whole thing. But this was a song, these were songs that were made exclusively for me for this particular show. It's not available for the public, but I am considering working on a project with Rick that looks at compiling music that is uplifting, that is empowering, and that is hip hop and dope and amazing and R&B, more R&B because I'm not really a hip hop. You know, I don't rap. Although I could drop some bars. I feel like if I gave it a good effort. But you know, we're working on some things. But these were songs that were put together for the Thankful by Nature collection, which is a part of the LDF Collections, which you can look at, peruse, and purchase at ldfcollections.com. I wanted to start there because yesterday we also, and I got a lot of news to get to, just let me do this housekeeping. Yesterday, I told y'all at Urban View that if you call 866-801-8255, and I was going to look at the list of callers, and I was going to pick to whom I could give away a free item from my collection. And for some reason, a lot of y'all called customer service. What? Like after y'all didn't, I don't know if y'all heard Amina. She was like, what? A lot of people called customer service thinking that the competition was with customer service. No, the competition was here. It's not even a competition. It's a giveaway. Like, so if you call the show at 866-801-8255, 866-801-TALK, my goal is to take one of the callers and after engaging with them, determine if they're going to be the ones to get the item. And one of the, so I just want people to know, like, I'm sorry if I'm explaining that incorrectly or if I was, not as clear, but you don't need to call customer service to ask them how you win a free item. You call me at 866-801-8255, 866-801-TALK, and then we will give away an item or two items. I'd committed. I'd love to be able to give away one or two, maybe three items each day this week because this drop is ending on December 18th. So you have between now and December 18th. That is it. So just want to clear that up, clear up some confusion, so people are aware as to what's going on. Please don't call customer service. I don't even know how y'all found. I guess it's on the website, but yeah, it's me that you would call, not them, because they were like, what should we do? Because they think that there's a competition. I was like, what is happening? But I appreciate that y'all appreciate the items, the line. It's been a lot of fun, very exciting, but it's here that you got to call if you want to get a free item. So in the second hour of the show, 866-801-8255, give us a call and we'll see how we can make it go. I also want to say thank you again to the amazing Professor Celeste Morris. You all know that when I'm not on these airwaves, I'm an actual attorney and I run a law center based in Brooklyn at Medgar Evers College. Shout out to the Medgar Evers College. And one of our signature projects is something that I have been advocating for. I have been heavily fundraising for, and that is our Advocacy Academy. Advocacy Academy is an 11-week virtual program. It is a full course. You're not getting college level credit for it. You're getting a certificate of completion, but it is a course that basically positions itself as being the incubator for your social justice dreams. I know as an attorney, I've been working in the law for years. No need to know how many, but I know that liberation for our people ain't gonna come through the courts. Like, we would be foolish to think that that is the case. But I do know that there are people in our community who have really good ideas, who have really great concepts. They just may not know how to get the ideas out into the universe. You might be, I always talk about one of my neighbors, Miss Chambers, and I know Miss Chambers got really good ideas for how to solve problems on the block. She done been on the block since like before I was alive. But she just may not have the support that she needs to get those ideas out into the universe. So when I first began fundraising for Advocacy Academy, I told the funding community, I was like, I want to build a people's lobby because I know that liberation for our people, again, not coming through the courts, but I know that if we put the resources in the hands of the people, they will solve the problems. And so Advocacy Academy Academy, we just concluded our 10th cohort. We run this program every semester. If you want to know about it, if you want to join the program, it's available nationwide. We've had people from South Africa participate. We've had people from all across the country participate. So if you got a Zoom connection and you can connect, it's Tuesdays at 6:30 on East Coast time. But join our listserv at clsj.org, clsj.org. You can get on the listserv and find out when we're going to have the next one. We'll do another one in the spring. But we just graduated our 10th cohort. Amina, we should be doing a round of applause at that because that's amazing. That's amazing. I don't know if yeah, there we go. Yes. And this was our largest class. We had more men in this class than we typically have. And brothers, shout out to you, because we will get a lot of brothers who sign up, but for a variety of reasons, they don't often complete the class, and valid reasons, which I ain't going into here. But we have more brothers in this class than we have had in any other. They come some amazing projects, just dynamic projects, and it was just really awesome. So I want to just give another thank you to our professor, Celeste Morris, who I think is just one of the most amazing elders on the planet. I absolutely love and adore her, and I'm just so grateful that we are able to do this work together, because this is her baby, and I just needed to fundraise for it. And so I call her the head midwife of people's social justice dreams. I'm just an assistant doula because my job is to go get the money. I go get the money and bring it back so that the people can have their dreams secured. So congratulations to the 10th cohort. I'm so grateful for you, and I can't wait to see what dreams you all put out into the universe. Having said all of that, got hair going in my mouth. Having said all of that, I want to get into the news for today. Now, some of this I'm going to breeze through a little bit. I do way more detail in the podcast episode, Lurie Breaks It Down, which will be available later on today. You can get Lurie Breaks It Down anywhere you get your podcast. And I want to start talking about what's happening with healthcare, because it has been a horrific mess. I want to talk a little bit about the U.S. military, some electoral wins, and then I'm going to conclude with Jasmine Crockett, because some of y'all are getting on my nerves. Not y'all, but y'all's cousins and them other ones getting on my nerves. First things first, the GOP vote when President Barack Obama was in office, and he was able to secure the Affordable Care Act in terms of legislation, and they called it Obamacare because they thought that was going to be an insult, but Obamacare is the Affordable Care Act. And this legislation was really hard fought. And before the Obamacare went into office or went into existence, we had a situation where if you had a pre-existing condition, you could be denied health care for anything. And pre-existing conditions are pretty broad. If you were pregnant, that was a pre-existing condition. Have you ever had hypertension, diabetes, or high blood pressure? Pre-existing conditions. Epilepsy, pre-existing condition. Cancer, pre-existing condition. And now add things like COVID. If you've had COVID, pre-existing condition, and you could be denied health care for anything. And the Republicans did not have a health care plan, but after the Obamacare went into effect, they basically spent a lot of time trying to repeal Obamacare, trying to defund Obamacare, trying to destroy Obamacare, trying to do everything that they could. They tried to deauthorize Obamacare. They did everything that they could. I want you to guess, how many times do you think Republicans voted to get rid of Obamacare? Just give a guess. Fancy a guess. You think maybe they voted 5 times to get rid of Obamacare? You would be wrong. Maybe 10, 15, 20 times to get rid of Obamacare? Similarly, you would be wrong. 30, 40, 50 times to get rid of Obamacare. Once again, you would be wrong. Over 100 times. Republicans spent over 100 efforts in the legislative bodies trying to destroy health care plans for people. Now, when I'm that committed to something, it must be because I got something better to replace it with. And you would have thought that in the, 15 years now, between 10 to 15 years since we done had Obamacare, you would have thought that the Republicans, because they hate it so much, you would have thought that they would have spent all of this time coming up with a plan. But we knew that they ain't had no plan because they never put forward a plan. All they put forward was their effort to destroy what existed. And we knew that man ain't definitely had no plan when he said, I've got concepts of a healthcare plan. You got concepts of truth too, but we know you's a lie and the truth ain't in you. And so you would have thought that they would have been ready for this moment. This past July, they passed the big bitch ass bill that basically destroyed all the healthcare programs, destroyed all the safety net programs, just so that they could give benefits to their billionaires in terms of permanent tax cuts. You would have thought they would have had a plan. Child ain't got no plan. Politico is reporting that they have been basically falling apart internally because they ain't got no plan. You got some Republicans who are in districts that actually require non-red Republicans to vote for them who are like, wait, we got to extend these subsidies because the subsidies for Obamacare are about to expire. Now, we could have had universal health care, but the whites don't want universal health care, the racist ones anyway, because that means all of us blacks and everybody else gets health care as well. And so historically, white people have not been willing to have universal health care if it meant that they had to share health care with us. Sorry, but we're here. And so you would have thought that in this time they would have put something together. Child, they ain't put nothing together. They ain't put nothing together. And I talk more about this in the podcast episode. But what's important is for us to understand that this is how Republicans operate generally. And this is the reason why they're very, very bad at governing. Now, I want you to listen to this clip. This is Senator Bill Cassidy. Senator Bill Cassidy, who is the reason that we have John F. Kennedy as the head of our healthcare and the chief destroyer of our healthcare system. I want you all to take a listen to this clip from Senator Bill Cassidy. This is one of the plans that they're trying to promote, this healthcare savings plans, which are not plans. But I want you to listen to this because this man is actually trying to pretend like this is a plan that can work. And we all know that it can't. But this is the best that they've got. And it's the best that they've got in ways that should quite frankly scare some of us, because what this means is they ain't got nothing at all. But they're so committed to destroying what we currently have that they don't even care that they don't have a replacement plan that could actually work. Take a listen.
Healthcare costs are out of control.
Yes,
What Democrats are doing does nothing to control that. Republicans, giving somebody a health savings account gives them an incentive to shop for the best deal, and studies show that works. The mama, she will take care of her money in that health savings account. That forces competition, that lowers cost.
So I'm a mama. And I'm going to tell you right now, I don't have time to go searching out which healthcare plan would allow me with a $2,000 healthcare savings account. I don't have time to figure out which of those plans is going to allow me to actually make sure that my kids, my family gets their healthcare. And the fact that you're putting this on the mama, you're the fucking elected official. Figure that shit out. Negotiate that shit. You know how many things I'm navigating as a mama? You know how many things my husband is navigating as a parent? Are you fucking kidding me right now? That's the best you got? Give me $2,000 in a healthcare savings account and then go on my way? Really? Really? And when you consider the fact that if you've got cancer, you're averaging $150 some odd $1,000 a year for your healthcare coverage. When it comes to pregnancy, we're talking $20,000, $30,000 a pregnancy. That ain't what you gonna give me this $2,000 healthcare savings account, and then I'm supposed to come up with the other $28,000 on my own just to bring little Keishana or Keisha in the house, in the world? You out your damn mind. But this is the best that they've got, which is why we should pay attention to these things. It's why we need to understand what's going on. And the fact that they have spent a decade and a half trying to destroy the healthcare plan that we currently have and don't have a replacement for it lets you know how unserious they are about governing, which is one of the reasons why I was happy to see that we have continued to see at the state level. Now, we're no longer in congressional races, but at the state level, Democrats are flipping shit all over the place. In 2025, they have flipped 25 Republican-held state legislative seats, whereas Republicans have flipped 0. This is a good sign for the midterms, not because we think the Democrats are going to be amazing, and we're going to talk about how unamazing they are in a minute, but because the Democrats do not have a plan that's basically designed to wipe us off the face of the earth. Now, the Republicans do. The Republican plan is to erase your history, erase civil rights, erase voting rights, erase integration, get rid of the blacks unless they in jail and can work as slaves, get rid of everybody who's not in line with white Christian nationalism. The Democrats suck on a variety of ways, but they're not that. And we have to be sophisticated voters so that we understand how to make sure that we are voting in a way that is going to protect our collective best interest. Now, you also should be aware that your military is militarian. I don't know if y'all saw this video of the helicopter, the American helicopter. I don't know what type of helicopter it was. I'm not that good at spotting helicopters. Coming over the Venezuelan oil tanker and having soldiers rappel down from the helicopter onto the oil tanker, stealing oil. They pirated the oil. They literally came to a ship that was doing its own oil shipping business in international waters and took that shit on some pirate type shit. Now, you may not recall, but I'm old enough to remember that y'all's president said not so long ago that he wanted the American military to use American cities as training grounds. Do you remember this? I remember this. And he wanted them to use them as training grounds. And it was weird because American military is not supposed to be used as against American people. But do you remember in Chicago when that Black Hawk helicopter came over the building and soldiers similarly rappelled down into the building and then destroyed everything, talking about they was looking for migrants, they was looking for immigrants, they was looking for illegals, which is a slur that we should never, ever, ever. I shouldn't have even said it myself. I was trying to be flippant, and sometimes being flippant doesn't work. But talking about undocumented people. And then they didn't find nobody, and not a single person actually got arrested or deported or detained beyond what they were able to do in the immediacy of that moment. They ended up having to release everybody, but people's lives were destroyed. Their apartments were destroyed. I could not help but think about that as I saw this video of these soldiers approaching this ship in the helicopter and then rappelling down in some straight up war game type, but it's not a game because they really did take this oil. And then your president said, I guess we just gonna keep it. So you's a whole ass pirate now? You Captain Buccaneer now? Like that's you, who's you? And I couldn't help but wonder, what if Venezuela, upon seeing the threatening posture of these helicopters, had decided to blow the helicopter out of the sky, which is what Americans would have done had Venezuelan helicopters been flying over an American ship and just rappelled down and took over. They would have blew it out the sky. I thank God that Venezuela did not do that, because that would have triggered an international crisis that would have looked much like America invading Venezuela. But oh wait, it kind of looks like America is invading Venezuela. Now, y'all can say what you want, but I thought this president was the one who said he wasn't going to do no more wars. Ain't that what he said? Ain't that what the white people said? The white nationalists, they said they didn't want no more foreign wars. This man is going around the world picking out wars, mainly because he don't want us talking about Jeffrey Epstein. Where the fuck are them Jeffrey Epstein files? Where they at? I know we got a couple days before they're supposed to be released, but we've been talking about everything but the Jeffrey Epstein files. And as the president of Colombia already said, they would rather start a war to protect the pedophile ring that they are a part of and that they have been protecting. So we just need to be crystal clear that it's some real fugazi ass shit happening right now. And yesterday, there was a vote in the House where they voted to give the Pentagon, an entity that has failed 7 audits, has failed 7 audits. They can't pass the audit. Their numbers are so fugazi, it's fugazable. It's fugazable. And they have failed 7 audits. And yesterday, the House, including 115 bitch-ass Democrats, voted to give the Pentagon $900 billion. Billion with a B. This is going to send the Pentagon billions of dollars. It's going to add increased money for Israel. It's going to take away IVF access for military families, because you got a whole lot of religious zealots in this house who basically don't believe that you should have any access to any medical care that's going to allow you to do anything other than birth a baby. And if you can't birth a baby on your own, then maybe God ain't with you. These are some evil people. Representative Summer Lee had some things to say about this, and I was so grateful that she posted this because she said the following. Hold on, my screen is slow. Hold on, what's happening to my screen? Oh, Lord Jesus, Lord. Where'd it go? Damn it. Here's what she said. Sorry. The Wi-Fi be Wi-Fi-ing y'all. It do. She said the bill we just voted on to fund the Department of Defense provided $8 billion more than even requested. $8 billion more than was requested. That's how much they got. For an agency that is basically funding the ability for y'all's president to take over oil tankers in the middle of the ocean. They gave them $8 billion more than they requested. She goes on to say what that means is Congress is offering up billions in extra money for weapons of war, but nickel and diamond people for basic health care. She says it's past time to rethink our priorities. I voted no. Thank you, Representative Summer Lee. We appreciate that somebody's got some damn sense, because I don't know what the rest of the folks in the House were doing, including those 115 bitch-ass Democrats. Thankfully, we do have some Democrats who are willing to draw a line in the sand, who are willing to say what they have to say and do what's necessary. And one of those Democrats, her name is Jasmine Crockett. And I've spent an entire segment talking about Jasmine Crockett's Senate run. And even I have been appalled. I have been clutching my Negroidian pearls over the ways in which people have been coming for this woman like she has been waving the flag herself going into genocide in Gaza. I have thankfully, a friend of mine sent me some information that let me know that the whole misinformation campaign is in full force. And I'd already seen it. But when the friend sent me this, I was like, Jesus Christ, y'all are going to Kamala Harris this woman. I shouldn't even say that. Y'all going to do to Kamala Harris, do to Jasmine Crockett what was done to Kamala Harris. I remind you that when people did not pay attention to what actually mattered and you were a one issue voter, we lost civil rights, voting rights, integration. We lost them things. Jasmine Crockett has been subjected to so much misinformation and disinformation. And I want you to take a listen to this clip. I got a whole bunch of these clips that I play in the podcast episode. I'm not going to be able to play all of them today, but I want you to take a listen to Kenny, who goes by Too Raw, Too Real on social media, where he explains that this is an actual campaign to destroy her ability to be one of the most effective senators in the state of Texas. Now, she is in a primary election. I need to explain this because I feel like sometimes we don't have basic civics. There are 2 rounds to every election. You've got the primary and then you've got the general. Think of it like a tournament. If you don't get past the primary, you can't go to the general. If you make it past the primary, that's how you go to the general. In the primary, Democrats face off against each other, and Republicans in the Republican primary, they face off against each other. Whoever wins that person then goes to face the opponent from the opposite team in the general election. She and James Tallarico are in a primary together. The election deadline has passed. Ain't nobody else that can put their hat in the ring If you think you got somebody better, if you think you could do better, sorry, you should have put your hat in the ring, but you did not do that. You have really good candidates both in James Tallarico and in Jasmine Crockett who have the exact same record on Israel. So why is it that y'all are coming for Jasmine talking about do she take AIPAC money? My friends, in fact, I wasn't even going to do this. Amina, I was going to call just for the clip, but I'm going to go to opensecrets.org. Opensecrets.org is a website that you should know. Because when you go to opensecrets.org, and in fact, let me go ahead and share my screen. When you go to opensecrets.org, you are able to see who gave money to whom. Who was giving money to which candidates where? So here we are at opensecrets.org. We're going to the politicians tab here at the top. We click the politicians tab, and then we're going to go over to the left where it says members of Congress. And when we get to members of Congress, we get to type in a name, Jasmine Crockett. Let's see what they say about Jasmine Crockett. Here we have her donor record. And here we see the top industry is the retirees. The top group of people funding her are the retirees, right? We also have here's one top contributor here, Miller, Weisbrod, Oleski. That's a law firm. She's an attorney. We can see all the people who donated for her. You can see it. You can look at it on your own. So you don't have to ask yourself, I wonder if she take AIPAC money. Baby, you can look it up. Like, I don't know what it smells like when God farts. But I know that I can look up how much money is going into a politician's pockets. I don't know what it looks like when God blows its nose. I don't know what the snot looks like, but I know that we can look at what is being funded. You don't have to ask questions, Craig. You ain't got to lie, Craig. You could just literally go look it up, but people are more interested in misinformation and disinformation campaigns. So I want you all to take a listen to this clip. This is Too Raw, Too Real, doing the work of making sure that we have some understanding about what's really going on. And my God, I just need us to be better. I really do need us to be better. Okay, hold on. I was about to share the clip, but now I realize I can't share the clip. Yes, I can. All right, here we go. We're sharing the screen. All right. I hope it works. Now let's go. Amina, let's play.
There is no time for hesitation when the biggest threat to our nation is disinformation and the fact that foreign entities want to interfere with our elections. Right now, there's a dynamic orchestrated effort from online agitators to sow division and disinformation against Jasmine Crockett because she's GOP's biggest threat. And the sad shit is, a lot of you motherfuckers are falling for it. They're trying to make Israel the biggest issue in Texas when it is not. According to Texas, their biggest issues are domestic, like the economy, like the border. So why the hell is everybody talking about Israel when Texas voters care about putting food on their table? Because in 2024, it caused division in the Democratic Party, which helped us lose the election. And right now, they're using the same tactic to sow division between two good candidates. And this account is a prime example of what I'm talking about. Quentin Quarantino says, I endorse James Tallarico in the race for U.S. Senate in Texas. There is no longer space for politicians who support genocide in the Democratic Party. Jasmine Crockett will learn this. However, did you see them community notes, ho? James Tallarico and Jasmine have the same fucking position. According to Miss Now, on September 14th, James Tallarico proclaimed that Israel has the right to exist and defend itself. Like Jasmine Crockett, he does not accept any AIPAC money, neither accept it, but both support the funding legislation that benefits Israel while also supporting humanitarian aid to Gaza. Both have publicly condemned Benjamin Netanyahu. So what's the fucking issue? The issue is they want to divide us and distract us from talking about the issues that matter most to Texas. And if you think for a minute that beating down Jasmine Crockett is going to somehow protect Tallarico, you're sadly mistaken, ho. Have you seen this, where this progressive coalition says that James Tallarico is disqualified? And they said the same thing about Jasmine, but it's very telling what type of unflattering photo they would try to use and choose for Jasmine. Bitch, I see you. But let's dig a little deeper. Not only was the account created a couple of days ago, but also they just created a domain 7 days ago. And when you go and look up where they're located, let's look this shit up together. Where are these hoes from? Oh, they're from Iceland. And it's interesting how they want to disqualify the only two Democratic candidates that are running for Senate in Texas, because this is it. It's one of the two. The deadline ended on the 8th. These are our only candidates. However, they don't have this same energy when it comes to the other fucking Republicans that are running for Senate. And let's look at their stances on damn Israel. John Cornyn is a consistent supporter of Israel's military campaign. He opposed every call to ceasefire. In fact, him and the Republican Party rejected any type of broad humanitarian funding for Gaza. He has consistently voted on the side of Israel. But no, let's attack Tallarico. Let's attack Jasmine. But let's look at the other GOP option, Ken Paxton and his motherfucking glass eye. Did you know that he said he gives unequivocal support for Israel. In fact, Eyepatch Paxton opened up an investigation to Plano ISD for pro-Palestinian students. Are y'all fucking dumb? Stop falling for this foolishness. Let's focus on the matters and the issues that affect those in Texas.
Thank you for listening to his TED Talk. Y'all, we got to be better. And I need people to have been sufficiently disgusted by what we saw happening when it came to Vice President Kamala Harris and the way in which this very same effort, this very same strategy worked to essentially derail her campaign. And as a result, we ain't got no more civil rights. We ain't got no more voting rights. We got white nationalists in office. We got whole ass Nazis in the White House, in the office. And so I need us to be better about this. And again, in the podcast episode, I go into way more clips about this. Urban View, you guys are going to get a chance to hear this because YouTube, we're just at the end of this commercial break, we're not going to be able to. But I need us to be better about this. Let's be intellectually curious. Let's not fall for the okey doke and be like, I wonder if she take AIPAC money. Baby, you ain't got to wonder. Look it up. If you was really curious, you can find that information, but you're not. You're not really curious about it at all. You want to cause mess. You like being messy and you like being contrarian. And I apologize, but we have a thread within our own community. This isn't even just about other people's community. We also have a thread within our own community of people who confuse being a contrarian with being intelligent. Just because you say, I disagree, that doesn't mean you're smart. It means you have an opinion about something. If you follow up, I disagree with factual information to support the reasons for why you disagree, then we can have an understanding. We can have a dialogue. Everybody ain't got to agree. But if you say, I disagree because I think she support Israel, when we can credibly confirm for you, she does not get support from Israel. She has, and in other videos that I share in the podcast, again, Urban View, y'all are going to get a chance to hear this. You will see that on her voting record, when she has voted in favor of packages that benefit Israel, it's because those packages were the only way that they could also get humanitarian effort into Gaza. As a congressional representative, she is one of 435 people. And someone on my YouTube channel had posted the other day, well, the Democrats, she hasn't really done a whole lot for black people. There are 435 members of Congress. In order to get legislation passed in Congress, you need 218 votes. She is one 435th of the entire body for which she serves. I want so much for us to value education. And I know a lot of us were not served well by our educational institutions. I know a lot of us ended up in situations in schools that were underfunded. We went to schools that were proactively dismantled. After Brown versus Board of Education, they got rid of a whole lot of black teachers. What was it? 40% of black teachers got kicked out of the profession. 90% of black superintendents and principals got kicked out of the profession. So I know that they traffic in us being stupid.
1 minute.
I need us to love us enough to stop being willful participants in our own stupidity. And I'm not talking about y'all. I'm talking about y'all's cousins. So when you see the misinformation campaigns, when you see the disinformation campaigns, stop them in their tracks, share with them factual information, and let them know we don't do stupidity over here. We do intellectual discourse and dialogue, which means you got to read, Craig. You're going to have to go and do more than just follow the YouTubes. And I do the YouTubes, I do the Twitters, I do the things to make sure that people have snapshot of information. But I got to do that because we're willfully participatory in stupidity. And for likes and clicks and giggles and holding black women in particular up to standards that you don't hold nobody else up to. This is why Michelle Obama said, keep my name out your mouth, because y'all not really serious about supporting a woman, certainly not a black woman. We're going to leave it there. We got to go to commercial break. Urban View, 866-801-8255, 866-801-TALK. YouTube, love y'all, appreciate y'all. Please like, subscribe, and share.